Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. My name is Maria KOROLOV. I'm the editor here at MetaStellar, and I'm here to tell you that the top free speculative fiction book on Amazon is an action-packed space opera. But before we get to that, we've got 4 other books to talk about. You see, every single Friday, the team here at MetaStellar reads the first few chapters of every book on Amazon's top 5 free list. I was helped out today by our copy editor, Melody Friedenthal. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here with us today, so it's just going to be me. The link to the article and to all the books that I'm going to talk about is in the description box below. For those who are new to our channel, MetaStellar is a free online science fiction and fantasy magazine. We publish original short fiction, reprints, excerpts, essays, and lots of book reviews like these. We're able to do this and keep our content completely free thanks to our Patreon supporters. We love you guys. Thank you. And our second anthology is now out. The first one has been out for a year. Here's our second one. And our fall submission window opens on October 1st. So if you are a science fiction, fantasy, or horror writer, mark your calendar. The link is going to be in the description box below as well. All right, let's get started. Book number 5 on today's list. We're doing a little countdown. Wied Court by Alexi Blake is a leftover on our list from last week. So this book is great. I read it, I reviewed it last week, and I finished reading it that same day. So the story is that there's a fantasy kingdom ruled by a capricious fey queen. The protagonist is her granddaughter, who's got like magic, super great magic powers, but she has to keep them under wraps for political reasons. There's a lot of court drama and old crushes and family dynamics and stuff like that. Normally, these are things I do not like in a book, but the writing here was awesome. The pace was great. There was lots of action. I could not put this book down. Literally, I was halfway through this book. I was reading it over lunch. I was halfway through the book when I realized that I had to go back to work. And I had to put the book down. And then as soon as I was done with the Free Friday taping last week, I went back and finished the book. Great ending. Love this book. Highly recommend it. Okay, next we have Angel's Target by Aimee Robinson. The first of 5 books in the Elemental Angels Paranormal Romance series. The other books are $5 each, and the series is not in Kindle Unlimited, and it's the author's first time on our list. So I do not like books with half-naked men on the cover. I prefer my books bloody and violent or cozily mysterious. I don't like them to be mushy and romantic. And if I see a protagonist who's an annoying guy, who the female protagonist hates on sight, I wish she'd kill him and save herself a lot of trouble. And that doesn't really go over well in a romance setting. So I tend to avoid romance books. But hey, you never know. You can never judge a book by its cover or by its title, Angel's Target, or by its subtitle, which is a paranormal angel romance. So anyway, so I'm reading this book, and we start out with Titan, short for titanium, who's just killed an enemy with a bow and arrow, and he's got gross stuff on his pants, which annoys him. Not the fact that he killed somebody, but the fact that he's going to have to throw out his pants. I sympathize with that. You know, good pants are hard to find. And enemies are a dime a dozen. So we learn that Titan and his brothers are kind of safety enforcers, and they annihilate demon threats. And the rest of them use bullets instead of arrows. Titan has a particular affinity for arrows. So cliche, because, you know, he's an angel. And this particular battle took place at a New Hampshire strip mall in the loading dock of a home supply center. So definitely kind of a modern setting. And they got 2 of the demons, but a third escaped while he was loading a new arrow. Maybe he should switch to bullets. Turns out the demons are looking for something called the Guiding Light, and they may have found it here in the mortal realm. and there's more of these demons looking for it. So my guess is that the demon light is going to turn out to be a pretty woman who happens to be single, who's attracted to supernatural guys with bows and arrows. And she thinks of herself as normal. And that is, in fact, the case, as we'll learn a paragraph later. Titan then grows solid titanium wings and flies off to rescue this woman, while the rest of his team go to do something else, and they're going to catch up to him. And then in the next chapter, we switch points of view to the woman, which indicates to me that she and Titan are going to get together. Her name is Rose. She manages a small HVAC company, and her sister went missing 6 months before, and she definitely thinks of herself as all human. So yeah, very kind of standard romantic or romantic paranormal tropes. I'm not going to stick with this book, but it is very, very readable. So if you like these kinds of books, it is kind of hard to put down. It sucks you in, and it's got a lovely, smooth writing style, as does pretty much every book on our top lists. I mean, there's a reason why they're bestsellers. All right, next we have Tempest of Discovery by Sarah Cradit. The first of 4 books in the Midnight Dynasty paranormal romance series. The other books are $5 each, and they're not on Kindle Unlimited. This is the author's first time on our Free Friday list. So, according to the preface, this particular series is related to another series by the same author, the 12-book House of Crimson and Clover series, the first book of which is also free today. And judging how much backstory we get in just the first couple of chapters of this book, I'm going to say go and read that book first. So the book starts right out with a giant list of characters and a whole bunch of family trees. So right then and there, I have a really bad memory for names, and so that's not going to be for me. I also really don't like family sagas, again, because of all the family drama and of all the people you have to keep track of. And my shoulder keeps disappearing. I'm too lazy to put up my green screen. That's why that's happening. Oh, and it's proof I'm not AI, because an AI wouldn't make this mistake that their shoulder would disappear, would it? See? All right. So it's set in present day New Orleans, well, 2007, so ancient history. And Nicholas is the heir to the Deschanel dynasty, a family of witches and wizards. He used to be a depraved rogue, but wants to change and no longer be a man afraid of commitment or afraid of family. And he wants to show his family that he's changed. But the only one who believes him is his aunt Colleen, the closest thing he's got to a parent. And his aunt wants him to investigate another powerful witch family. And he's paired up with a woman he's in love with, Lauren, but she knows him as the idiot he used to be. And there's a bunch of backstory about what's happened with the family. Then in the next chapter, we switch to the point of view of Charlotte, who's just resigned a legal internship for the Louisiana ACLU and asked for a leave from her law studies, went to the firing range to practice her shooting, and goes to visit that same Aunt Colleen, who is Charlotte's father's cousin. And there's an assignment for Charlotte, which includes a trip to Paris with someone named Julian, who she loves, but who's too young, sweet, and innocent to go on an assignment like this. They're supposed to investigate an illusionist and her brother, who are able to change their appearances, and Colleen wants to know if they're going to be allies or enemies. And Charlotte looks at a picture of this brother-sister pair, and the brother's picture catches her eye, and she's immediately drawn to him. Oh, no. And there's more backstory. Then we switch to the point of view of Lauren. She and Nicholas are the first couple who are teamed up. They're getting ready for their assignment. They're discussing family issues. Lauren has a sister she doesn't get along with, but still sees regularly. Nicholas's sister is pregnant. He's going to be an uncle for a kid who he might someday make his heir. And then they go investigate the other witch family. So it's a really slow beginning. There are way too many potential romantic couples. There's way too much family backstory. And if I were to read this, I would first go back and read the other series. But I'm not going to read this because it's a family saga. There's all this drama. It's really slow. So all of these things make me not want to read it, but it is excellently written. It's very easy to read. It really sucks you in. And if you like family sagas and romance and relationships and all that gooey stuff, I think you might really enjoy this book. Okay, next we have something that is up my alley, the Raymond Finkle three novel box set by Raymond Finkle. This is a box set of 3 standalone techno thrillers, including Sky Heist, the Armageddon Prophecy, and the Mendelian Protocol. Which, I mean, I love all 3 of those titles. I love thrillers, and yeah, I love this. The first book is Sky Heist, and its cover image is straight out of Mission Impossible. I mean, you can't see it here, but if you open up the book, it's right there on the first page, and a guy's hanging off a plane's wing with the engine on fire. But the guy looks like he has a parachute strapped to his back, so he might make it. Or maybe he won't. Either way, it's a promising book cover. Just reminds me a lot of that Mission Impossible scene where Tom Cruise is hanging off the wing of the plane. So Tubbs, that's his middle name, has just come back home to DC after his brother's funeral, and he gets a call from his boss. A large commercial airline has crashed near Seattle, and there's a possibility that it was hijacked. Tubbs would be the lead investigator because he works for the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board. Then we flash back in time to a guy named String, who's getting on a plane. He's got a laptop with him, and he's got a plan to use it to steal a whole lot of money and give it to worthy causes. Then there's a little bit of, how he feels about people talking to him on the plane and that kind of stuff. Then we switch to the co-pilot, Portia, who's just texted String that everything's ready to go, except she just knows him as the hacker. And she's also texting with someone she calls the Russian. And she's fantasizing about retiring to a private villa in Italy and working on her tan. So it looks like they're in cahoots to steal a bunch of money. And there's also a little bit of back and forth with the lecherous pilot who works next to her in the cockpit and other stuff. Then we're back to the present with Tubbs, who's now on a cross-country flight from DC to Seattle. He's gathering information and delegating jobs and getting the investigation rolling. So I'm not getting any sense that there's a sci-fi or fantasy or magical element here, but that's fine. It feels more like a police procedural, like a straightforward kind of thriller, which is one of my favorite genres. So I'm totally happy with it. I'll take it. And I'm going to stick with it. This is exactly my kind of book. All right, before we go on to book number 1, I want to thank our Patreon supporters. Here you are. I love you guys. The money that you guys donate through Patreon only goes to pay for the speculative fiction that we publish, specifically the stories that are going to be submitted in October. None of it goes to overhead. None of it goes to salaries. We're all volunteers. So if you support us on Patreon, you are supporting new and emerging science fiction writers. And in this day of like AI taking everybody's jobs, they need the support. Okay. So if you haven't donated, please do that, and we will love you for it. Okay, next on to number 1 book on today's list, The Forgotten Stars by Odette Bell. The first of 4 books in the Forgotten Stars space opera series. The other books are $4 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. The author is a regular on our Free Friday lists. And Melody Friedenthal read this for us. And she says that we learned that the protagonist is Commander Kim Starsmith, a man with fancy augmented armor. There's an explosion, and at first Melody says she thought something went wrong with the space station mechanics, but no. There's an alarm. The space station has been infiltrated by enemies. So she says the book has a really fast start, getting right into action. There's a life and death threat to our hero and his colleagues. And the weird thing is that Kim, the commander who's our protagonist, never takes his armor off, not even in the shower. And we're reminded of this twice, right at the beginning. And he's an officer, but he prefers drinking with the enlisted. He's just one of the guys. And other space station inhabitants include aliens of various kinds. And Melody is looking forward to seeing how they're handled. Then the lights fizzle, officers scream because I guess they're scared of the dark. And Kim's friend tells him that only he, Kim, can save the ship. So Melody's annoyed by this. There's only one who can save the ship, and she's tired of it. Meanwhile, we learn that Kim doesn't want to be on the space station. He's strong and was best in his class, but Melody thinks he's got a big ego and an overinflated opinion of his own self-worth. He resents his posting at this new but decrepit space station, and his duties include training recruits, and he feels these duties are beneath him. But he understands that there's the attack is from something called the Edge, and he doesn't respect the station's top leader, a beautiful woman named Admiral Zen. Maybe a whiff of romance there. But then there's also Ensign Amber Hart, who has a better armor than even Kim. Maybe she's a rival for Kim's affections. But Amber is not the overachiever that Kim or Zen are. Maybe she has hidden talents. Will this be a story of unacquitted love? Maybe a three-way, who knows? And then a nightmarish creature erupts from a fountain. Kim attacks it with a handy-dandy telekinetic sword that isn't a sword, but it's like a Swiss Army knife, and more of these creatures appear. Melody says that the book reads like a 1930s pulp space opera with an invincible superhero. It's not her thing, but she sticks with it. So after this attack, there's an away mission that Kim leads to a world. Amber gets separated from her team and falls into a big hole. And she falls for a long time, but stops just above the surface of some rocky chamber. So Melody says the plot is getting interesting, but she's going to stop reading. There's too many contradictions and editing issues in the text. Melody is a copy editor, so this stuff really bugs her. But she says that the book might be interesting to sword and sorcery fans or space opera fans and people who love superheroes and lots of action. And I fall into all those categories, and I'm okay with a couple of typos. So I might check it out after I'm done with reading my thriller about the Sky Heist. All right, there you go. Those are our top 5 books for our today's Free Friday. We used to do 10, but that was a little bit too long. And if you want to join us, we're always looking for readers. We're also looking for volunteers. We're looking for editors. We're looking for columnists, everything. All the links are in the description box below. Thanks, guys. See you next week.